So we have three machines, and on each one, there is a character doing exactly one job. We've got a cashier who sells, a packer who packs, and a courier who ships.
Now, these characters are deliberately isolated. They have their own verbs, their own journals, and absolutely no cable between them. And yet, when the cashier sells, the packer must pack and the courier must ship. Usually the answer is to just put something in the middle to carry the messages. It works, sure, but it has a cost that people rarely name. Because after you do that, the flow of the business lives in the configuration of that middle thing. You have a name to publish under here, a group of listeners there, and no participant's own program actually says anything about it. But this case does it so that each participant's program says exactly what it did.
Let's define what we're looking at. A puppet is a character in a program. It's a named who, defined by two things. First, his verbs, what he knows how to do, like sell, pack, ship. And second, his journal, which is the diary of everything he has done, written as sentences in order. That pair is his identity. And the vocabulary is theatrical on purpose. We're talking about actors, a director, and a cast.
Then, a fourth character joins the mix, the herald. Now, he is declared a stage V2 rather than a performance V2, and honestly, that one word is the whole difference. It means he is one character with a body on all three machines. He's solid where he writes, and there he is called the director. But he's a replica on the other two machines, and there he is called a cast.
But here is the heart of the design. His verbs are different in kind from everyone else's. The cashier, packer, and courier have imperative verbs. These are orders. In the present tense, sell, pack, ship. Each one actually changes something in the world. Stock moves, a parcel is sealed, a delivery begins. The herald, on the other hand, has assertive verbs, facts, in the past tense, like a sale was recorded. He creates nothing, and he computes nothing. He just relays. And this tense is definitely not a style choice. A character can only assert what has already happened in his own history. An order, by contrast, is something that might still be refused. So the tense literally tells you which kind of act a sentence is.
Let's walk through it. The cashier sells item A12, quantity 2. Follow it with me. The cashier performs an ordinary command and journals it. Cashier.sell A12 2. Present tense, his own verb, his own journal. Now, something different happens. A reaction on that journal speaks. And remember, a reaction is not a command. It watches the journal, and when the sale lands, it says something. What it says is a tell, and the sentence it writes into the cashier's journal names four things in order. The message, sale recorded. The values it carries, A12 and 2. The addressee, herald. And an identity for this particular telling, once sale 77. Written out exactly, that entry reads tell sale recorded with A12, 2 to herald once sale 77, semicolon.
Notice what the tell carries here. It is only ordered values, A12 and 2. Names and types never cross the wire. The receiver reads the values by position and relabels them in his own vocabulary. Notice what it names: a role, herald, never a machine and never a transport. And notice the identity, sale 77. This is what lets a repeated delivery be recognized as the exact same telling, rather than a second one.
So the herald takes it up and journals it in his own voice. Herald.sale recorded A12 2. And because he is one character with three bodies, that record replicates. The fact is now on every machine without anyone even asking for it.
Then the herald speaks onward. And here is the rule that keeps the whole thing honest. Only the director may emit. Think about it. If every replica spoke, the same message would arrive 3 times. So the director issues one directed tell per receiver. One to the packer, one to the courier, with each receiver named individually.
Next, each receiver answers in his own words. The packer runs pack. The courier runs ship. These are their own imperative commands. They are not orders that the cashier issued.
And then the acknowledgments come back, and they land as sentences right on the herald's own journal. His journal now ends with 4 sentences, and each one earns its place. The first says he told sale recorded to packer PK1, once sale 77. And notice that the addressee, PK1, is written inside the sentence rather than looked up somewhere else. The second says he told sale recorded to courier CR1, once sale 77. The addressee changed, but the identity did not, and that is exactly what makes both of them the same telling.
The third says packer PK1 acknowledged sale 77, and it's written in the same shape as the tell that earned it. Tell AC sale 77 from packer PK1. The fourth says courier CR1 acknowledged sale 77, and with that one, both receivers are accounted for by name. 2 tells out, 2 acknowledgments back. Read that to the end, and the entire cross-machine edge is right there, in sentences. The fact he received, the 2 tells he issued, and who answered.
Now, this journal is not a central place. It is one participant's own record, sitting on his own machines in his own words. The cashier's journal separately says its own part of the same story. Nothing here gathers the history into one hub. The history stays where it was lived.
Which brings us to the honest limit of the claim, and it's really worth being exact about this. What each journal audits is one edge, not the whole chain. The cashier's journal proves he told the herald. The herald's journal proves what he relayed and who answered. But no single journal holds the whole path from cashier through herald to packer. To follow the whole path, you read each participant's journal and match them up by the identity the message is carried. And that identity is local to each hop, not one thread running end to end. So the guarantee is per edge, and every edge is covered. That's a smaller claim than the system documents itself completely, but it is the true one.
Wait, if the cashier never calls the packer, then something is still carrying that message between them. What did we actually gain by making it a character?
Well, the question is not what carries the message. The question is where the record lives. When the thing in the middle is only a carrier, the cashier's program records the sale and nothing else. The fact that anyone was told lives in that middle thing's log, completely outside every participant's program. But here, the sentence recording that he told the herald is an entry in the cashier's own journal, and the acknowledgments naming who answered are entries in the herald's. Nobody has to reconstruct the story later from infrastructure logs because each participant already wrote his part of it. Just to be clear on the distinction here, a command is an imperative verb a character performs and it journals. A reaction watches a journal and speaks. They are never the same thing.
Here's the first thing that's easy to get backwards. The packer running pack is not a reaction. It is the packer's own command, run, because a message arrived. The reactions in this story are the 2 that watch and speak, the one on the cashier and the one on the herald.
And here is the second thing. The herald does not order anyone to do anything. He asserts a fact. What each receiver does about that fact is the receiver's decision, expressed in the receiver's own verbs. The sender never names the receiver's verb. Honestly, he wouldn't even know it.
So the cashier never learned the packer's verbs. He just said what he lived. There's no direct link between the cashier, the packer, and the courier. They stayed completely isolated. There's no orchestrator deciding the sequence. No single component owns the flow. And there's no broadcast. Each receiver was named one at a time.
The really interesting part isn't that a message got delivered. I mean, messages have been getting delivered for 50 years. The interesting part is that the act of speaking became a sentence in the speaker's own program. The cashier's journal says he told the herald. The herald's journal says what he relayed and who acknowledged. The joint history did not end up in a log beside the system. It ended up inside the participants, in the exact same language as everything else they did.